11:30ish, that he's babysitting at the moment. And we're not sure where his wife is, so we didn't think he could be on the call. Well, she was somewhere. But I do know that we have an election. Here's my concern, is we don't have a ballot on the north. And so I'm questioning how to do this, because I think last year we did this, I want to say, here you did.
Are there more seats than seats? Are there
Yeah.
more candidates? than seats allocated? Because if there's not, you can just do a show of hands and vote. Otherwise, I can create ballots for
So
you.
right now, it looks like we have
We definitely have enough paper.
Jim, Jim,
Steve?
your son, Steve, and George wanting to be on the foundation board.
How many seats are involved?
Two.
Okay.
Yeah, so I apologize. So I thought that Mike Dillis, his name was on here too, but Mike pulled his name out. So it looks like we just have the two on there. So I guess what I will do.
I move we approve the two candidates by acclamation.
Second.
You're not on camera.
Stephen and George. And they're gonna come on the board and they're gonna replace Mike comes off and I think Joe Lee comes off.
Could I,
Joe, could you go behind the camera and?
Joe?
It's official. They
Yeah.
need to hear you.
All right, can you guys hear me?
yeah, but can you hear me?
Got a motion and a second to approve the slate of directors.
Hey, Joe Ballas,
Yes,
you forgot Mike True. There's three names.
see, I thought there was.
All right, they can have it. I just threw my name out there in case they needed somebody. If they want to do it, I'm fine with it.
Okay,
But
we're doing this slowly by consensus. So Mike True just withdrew his own nomination. So we have two nominations. Randy made a motion. I've got a second. To put Steve and George in the 3-year slots on the board. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, the ayes have it. I think we've got our two new directors. Mike, you okay with that? The rest of the foundation board? Okay, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to withhold. We have some more information to present, but Dan, you have me scheduled on the 27th, I take it? We're having a club assembly,
we're having a club assembly, but that's going to include scholarships and things too. It's all programs.
all programs?
Yeah.
Okay,
So they not only just you can. But I thought Mike had some things you wanted to share.
Mike, do you have anything else further to share?
Well, I can see we're not exactly the most prepared here today, between Joe Camilli, Joe Ballas, and myself.
Like all the grants that have been funded, I can pull that stuff out. Okay.
But I was gonna just, I mean, as part of this presentation, I was just gonna remind people about what the Future Foundation Committee has been working on. We talked about this a year ago. The Future Foundation Committee was formed because at the height of COVID, we certainly had a reality check about what would happen if the broadstand went away. And with the broadstand going away, we would have no funding. And so the Future Foundation Committee was formed and we came up with a variety of different motions that we had the foundation board approve. I can go into it deeper, or we can put it into more context when we talk about the foundation and how it's going to play into funding of scholarships and other things, if that's a better time to do this. But I feel like we're a little disjointed here today, and
Yeah, I think I'll just jump in, Mike. I think that it probably would be a better idea to pause going into that further at this time. But I do want to echo what Mike said. I mean, basically what this Future Foundation has been doing, our work, it started when COVID hit us and realized that, you know, there's a good possibility we may not have a broadstand in years to come. So how do we sustain ourselves in the work that we do annually? So I'm going to, we're going to talk more when we're better prepared to talk about this at a later date. I don't know, it may not work on the 27th. I know there's some things that Dan asked me to talk about on the 27th, because one of the things we did last year at our annual meeting is we updated our bylaws. And one of the things we put in those, and when I say bylaws, I'm talking about the bylaws of Madison South Rotary Foundation, not the club bylaws. But regardless of which organizational group it is, we as Madison South Rotary are members of both of those. Okay, and the foundation specifically spells out that all members of Madison South Rotary are have ownership in the incorporation that is the Madison South Rotary Foundation. That's why we have this annual meeting every year. But in those bylaws last year that we all approved in a meeting in June, we have a sentence in there that speaks to broadstand proceeds, and that the foundation president will meet with the club president. And by April 1st of the year, we'll seek and advocate for 75% of the gross, or excuse me, of the net proceeds from the broadstand to be transferred to the foundation so that we can do our grants, 75%. And we've got some data and we've looked at, and we've been haven't hit that mark, but it's something that we're advocating for. But one of the things we need to discuss and look at is how we do that in the future. And this is a conversation that Dan and I have been having. I've had it with Rob Goose historically as well. Because there's a lot of different things that the club board is doing. And the foundation and the board and the club board aren't always on the same wavelength with respect to some of these things. And what we did put in our bylaws is to try to force the two presidents to talk to one another so that these things can happen, so that when we do our work, I mean, it's hard to be on the foundation board and take in $130,000 and request, and then sit for a night in early April, a group of us, and try to figure out how we're going to allocate $35,000. And you're looking at $130,000 in request. And, you know, and we're very proud of all those names that we listed for broadstand. I'm kind of having this conversation now, that Dan wanted me to have in 27, but I'm kind of giving you a prelude of what Dan wants to talk about at the club assembly on the 27th, and how we do that. And there's some other things, but I'm going to stop right now. Mike Dillis, is there anything further you want to say about the futuring committee?
I can tell you that there was really, and I'll try to be brief here. There was 3 things that came out of that committee that we brought to the foundation board. One of them was to produce an annual report so that we can continue to put the good work of the foundation and all the members who contribute out in the presence of all of the members of the club. So Joe Ballas is working on that. We'll have that available within the next couple of weeks. We have talked more than once about increasing the value of the corpus, or the annual value of the corpus, year over year, as a way for us to be able to sustain our generous giving through the foundation. And then the last one, which is an item that we're continuing to work on, and we're talking with our financial advisor, and that is to really try to streamline and formalize a process where each one of us can include in your will or your bequest documents a gift to the foundation. And we had set a goal that by the year 2026, we would have $1 million worth of pledges. These aren't legally binding. I know you have to write a check, but they're basically your intentions, looking at it from the estate planning side of things. If you would be encouraged, if you would be willing to contribute to our foundation, again, with the idea that $1 million would generate about $50,000 worth of interest, which would be about the equivalent of the money that we generate now from the broadstand. Again, going back to the beginning of this whole conversation, this was all started because what happens if the foundation no longer can depend on money from the broadstand because there's no broadstand. So closing a whole circle on it. We can talk a little bit more about it, and hopefully put a presentation together about how would you fill out a bequest form and what does it mean as we continue to roll down the road here, probably into July at this point. So that's all I have, Joe.
Mike, if we have an idea of an easy way to do that, present that at that time.
Yeah, we've had some conversations with a couple of folks in the club. If you've got some insights on that, George, would certainly like to talk with you about it as well.
When? At the 27th or beforehand?
No, we'll probably reach out to you before that.
Yeah, basically what we consult with a couple of attorneys in the club, but basically what we're trying to do is put together the quest process that people can take and fill out now, and on their passing in their will somewhere that they have, you know, $10,000 back to the Madison South Rotary Foundation, something. Because if you look at the age, and the other thing we've looked at too is the age of our club, you know, and we thought it was a reasonable way. You know, we have 250,000 upwards thereabouts in our corpus right now for the foundation. But how would we grow that to $1 million? You know, and if we could get that up to $1 million, we'd be looking at $50,000 a year potentially that the club could be using by just taking 5% to do, and that's if the fire station 4 went away, the brat stand went away, that we would be able to still do the work that we do as Madison South Rotary. So that's some of the things that we're thinking about there. Thank you, Mike.
You
So
bet.
that's it for right now. Mike gave a really good overview, actually.
Thanks, Joe.
So, Steve, you're doing a program on estate planning in July to July, right? Correct. Might this be a good thing to kind of dovetail? Okay, perfect.
Great, well. Okay, I guess that's it for our meeting today. So we will see everyone on Friday for the changing of the guard party. And that starts at 5:30 at the Madison Club. Be there or be square. And no meeting here next Monday. There's like 50 people coming. Yeah, it's gonna be a real party. Yeah, so see you all on Friday.